Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but more importantly, sharing the show increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Eli, Adam, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Hello, shout out to the Quantum Eraser live panel from yesterday. Very, very useful to have several hours of material to be driving to this morning when I was driving halfway across the country. So brilliant. I got to listen to McToon dissecting me versus Witsit with the assistance of Red Rhetoric. All very interesting. So thank you very much, people who defended my
Neil
honor.
Consento agrees.
Neil Consento? Yeah, I heard that. What? It's not an easy surname, to be fair, right? Cosentino's not easy unless you've said it a few times and been corrected a few times.
It's written right there at the bottom, isn't it?
Yes, Consento. Yeah, I've got
That's
Neil
right. They call me Prince.
Again, Adam?
They call me Prince. Like they can't read my name as Price.
Adam Price.
Well, yeah, I'm always Adam Prince to them.
Yeah, you gonna start singing Purple Rain?
Now you took the words out of my mouth,
why
really.
No, Prince Adam. He's E-Man.
So yeah, we have actually got something to cover today, and it's lengthy. So, but for a couple of housekeeping questions, we're going to get into that fairly imminently. So let's do a couple now. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, it's
No.
not possible.
What about any evidence that you can have pitch data on a globe?
It'd just be pitch from horizontal.
That'll be a no then. What about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Take that as a no. Right, moving on. So this is Modern Day Debates. Let's do the usual affair of letting them know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that won't immediately get removed by the YouTube algorithmic bots or indeed the channel owner themselves. So there is a link going by in the live stream chat. There's only a few of you, 42 to be exact, that are in the live stream chat as we've only just started, but we'll do another call to action later. But in the meantime, if you are amongst the few in the live stream chat as we've just started, please do actually toddle along to Modern Day Debates and just leave them a polite comment that says, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, they covered your video. And obviously the video that you'll be covering is the one that you're linked to in the live stream chat now. So hopefully we'll actually do that. I'm not saying it just for my health. Please let them know. If they were to respond, you'd hope that they do the same for us, which is to say put a link to Nathan Oakley 1980 channel in their video that they respond to us with. In any event, we do have some timestamps, and as I say, they are lengthy, so we'll see how much we can get through of this today.
And trying to falsify that hypothesis with the null hypothesis, we're going to analyze the two schools of thought here. Starting with our null hypothesis, we have the Earth is planar and measurements of curvature are dependent on the position of celestial bodies. Our alternative hypothesis is going to be the Earth is globular and measurements of curvature are independent of celestial bodies. Now we're going to examine evidence that should lead to a mutually exclusive outcome in determining the correctness of the shape of the Earth. So first off, we'll start off.
What the hell was that? I mean, none of that was scientifically valid in any way, shape, or form. Your alternative hypothesis has Earth as a globe in it. Are you going to vary that? Is that a variable? Go ahead.
A planar curve.
Yeah. In terms of what was described, curve measurements, there aren't any. They're all flat.
Start off with maps, which goes back
Yeah,
to
planar.
the graticule and cartography and astrogeodetic surveying, which we're going to cover through here. But what we're going to start with is what a map is. A map is a graticule. It is a spherical coordinate system. A coordinate system is arbitrarily defined by Cartesian coordinates here. We have rectangular, cylindrical, and spherical. All
What side is this guy on? Anybody know? It's hard to tell.
Ether cosmology.
So he's a flatty in principle, right? I was about to say,
Right.
because he's got the killer blow on screen, right? And he's just described it with Cartesian coordinates. You're like, right, it's game over right here. That's it. That's it. Done. Talk about spherical coordinate system. Where does that come from? What, measuring the stars with angles off a flat plane in the first instance? Yeah, it does. Yeah, projecting them onto these different flat maps after the fact requires you measure Earth flat in the first place. So this is it. This is the end of the argument. Right, so right here, right now. We're only a couple of minutes into this guy's presentation. I didn't know if he was a globie hijacking this stuff. You just don't know.
all of these under transformation are equivalent. And that is the beauty of the spherical coordinate system that is given to us on that uses the latitude and longitude lines, which are derived from positions of the stars, which is part of my hypothesis here.
No, it's not a hypothesis. Right, when you say they're deriving from measurements of the stars off a flat plane, why didn't you add the end of that sentence? Because that's it. That's measurements, not science. It's not going to form a hypothesis. Once you measure Earth flat, that's it. Well, if you're talking about latitude, that's all you need. That's it. Done deal. Game over. Stamp win on top of this on screen now. That's it. Done. Jobs are good.
So as we look over at all these different map projections, we can see that they all look different. The land masses are in different shapes and different positions. Does that mean that any one of these is more invalid than the other? Well, no, of course not. The globe and an azimuthal projection are two representations of the same coordinate system. Now, one is just the favored projection, and it is said that that one represents the shape of the ground based on a cosmology.
No, this is frustrating. No, these things don't represent the shape of the ground. The shape of the ground is represented by the measurements you took of the ground. Flat. This guy, if he's a flatty, why is he whistling past the graveyard? I don't get it. You're taking flat Earth measurements and suggesting that you can formulate a hypothesis. We stop people from saying that there's a debate to be had. Like, well, let's hear you debate about how you've got flat Earth measurements. It's like, no. No, that's it. That's the end of the discussion. Once you measure Earth flat, that's it. There's not, well, let's just see if that flat measurement will work on a globe. What the bloody hell are you babbling about, is my response when people do things like this. And as for taking it into sphericity and then mapping it back out flat and showing how many there are to represent the ground, none of them represent the ground in that respect. The measurements do.
That had coming starlight from an infinite distance to take measurements of stars to say that the only reason that the starlight could be deviated is due to the shape of the Earth, which we'll get into when we cover geodetic surveying.
Again, there's no need to assert any distance with the stars. It's almost impractical to do so because of their odd behaviour when rising in elevation. They change not the slightest when you do so. So that wouldn't allude to them having a capability of giving you a height. You've claimed infinite height. No. No, ballers do infinite distances, infinite heights of stars that have come from flat plane measurements. But that is in contradiction to their own claim that they know the distances derived from Kepler and Huygens. So that's their problem. I don't know why this guy's going through it.
So real quick, there are three families of projections here: azimuthal, cylindrical, and conical. All of those can be projected from a sphere, and we're going to be dealing with a celestial sphere, specifically.
Where did the sphere come from? Right? It's got latitude lines wrapped around it. The points are derived from geographical positions. So if you're going to infer that the maps after the spherical creation are what need focusing on, why don't go backwards? Where did the globe come from? Like, what's the system that was derived in that instance? Yeah, how are you going to create the globe with Haversine conversions off the celestial sphere derived from flat plane measurements? So this looks like it's going the wrong way. Anybody know this person? What's his name, first of all? Is this Alan or Dominic, or who is this?
Yeah, it's Alan.
And Alan's...
It's Alan.
Go on.
He's a part of the ether cosmology. So he's a big ether proponent.
Is anybody else getting frustrated with this? He's missing the mark, isn't he? Just missing the mark. I don't get it. Okay.
One hemisphere at a time. And it should be further noted that the graticule, the spherical coordinate system of latitude and longitude, defines all units of measurement in
latitude and longitude of flat Earth systems. Why is he giving them this?
Modern time and in previous times. All units of measurement are a ratio of the terrestrial meridian, which is the distance from the North Pole to the equator. And if you take that out in nautical miles, that...
So where do we get nautical miles from? Right? You're using a yardstick that's flat to describe systems that have been projected from flat plane angles to a celestial sphere by inference, bearing in mind that that's two flat planes creating a model of a hemisphere. And then, once you've got north and south, you can sandwich them antipodal, call it the celestial sphere as opposed to hemisphere north and south. But then you can project those points from the plane, equatorial, by way of Haversine conversion. So you've got plottable points on a spherical system. The angles will then work from in hell, where all the orbital motion that's contradictory so far in his own description. This is a flatty in his description, because we've got both infinite distances and set distances for heliocentric motion, plotted from the centre of hell. This guy's close, but no cigar, I'm afraid.
That would, so 69 miles.
Go ahead, Flatsy.
I agree with you. I would say that he's not factoring in any of the nuances at all.
Not the nuances that I've got a problem with. It's the graveyard he whistles straight past when it comes to the actual measurements. Latitude, you say? What's that? Nautical miles, you say? What are they? Like, don't whistle past the flat Earth measurement prerequisite to start detailing how you can apologise for a sphere, but prove a flat Earth after the fact with it? This seems bananas.
60 miles per degree with 90.
Good. Good, Flatsy.
Oh, I was going to say, I think that the conflation with how things can be an infinite distance away or the same distance away from the Earth, which would be measuring the sky and what the celestial bodies are doing flat as a flat plane. So the cosmic rectangle, how we observe the stars the way that we do in the arcs that we do, given the angles that we take to the celestial body.
Right.
They are conflating a lot of things and not just sticking to what is observed, because it is observer dependent. So we're using elevation angle measurements over vast distances. This is that's a right angle triangle. So you have to consider that we're utilizing the Earth is flat and that the sky is flat in the cosmic rectangle, and that we're just putting in how we observe their angles in the observer's position.
Yeah, just real quick, Fussy, everything you just said, he does cover. He does, like, everything you just said. Which we all agree, I believe. But he does, like, cover all that. And just to let you know, Nathan, just one thing I noticed when I was watching this, I realized that his style is he, like, tiptoe or not no tap dances on, like, what a glober would be saying, like he's talking about the infinite this and the that and the this and the that of what globers would say.
So he's an apologist.
But so what he does, though, he takes.
Why?
I like this style, actually, because what he does is he takes using their own words and claims, and then you'll notice in a little bit he then brings it back home, and I think that you'll see what I mean when it comes. But I totally agree with you. Right now, you're like, what the heck?
If you're saying
That's what
this
apologists do.
This is foundational, is what you're saying. It's as opposed to, I mean,
right.
I get it. It's just 2024 was me out on this. What's going on? Why has my view count dropped to almost 0? Is the live stream still working? Something screwy going on with the live stream. It's going from 88 to 12 and then back up again. Weird. Okay. Well, please share the show nonetheless. I don't seem to be having any frame rate issues or any warnings, but yeah, the numbers are all over the place. But I will assume there's 88 people watching. Please smash the share button if you've not done so already. Yeah, it might be the case that
91 watching.
Say again?
I see 91 watching right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's at the upper end of that weird behavior that YouTube Studio exhibits sometimes, but there we go. I forgot what I was going to say now.
93 now.
Okay. Right, let's stop watching the numbers because it's just an anomaly at my end.
I think you were talking about the apologists and that just now.
Yes, the 2024 rhetoric that we went on the tour with was lead with Earth's measured flat. Don't lead with their rhetoric. Let them do that. Now, I get it. If this guy's got his way of doing things, then fair enough. I'm not obviously knock that, but for me, it's a it's a no-brainer, right? If you've got the winning argument, he's already laid it out without making it explicitly clear that it is the winning argument. Why not lay that out right on the front foot immediately? The mention of a globe should never come from you as a flatty. Leave that to them. That's my attitude.
6,214. And if you ratio that, 1/10 millionth of that comes out to be the meter. So that is what they're defining as a meter. And that also links back to the speed of light, where the speed of light traveling over 1 in meters is...
It is a linear distance that would require Earth be a plane to create it in the first place, to derive systems from things like nautical miles, derived from angle measurements, stars also. These are all flat Earth prerequisites. Miles, kilometers, that's all linear, not curved.
39 inches. And that is how they relate the meter to the speed of light through inches. And the inches obviously are a ratio of the metric system itself. So they're all interchangeable, and they all start with being defined by a fraction of the graticule of the coordinate system that is used to describe this place. So here we're looking at the representation of that with 69 miles per degree times 90.
Man, just say it. Just say it. Requires a flat Earth. These are flat Earth measurements. Just say it. It's driving me nuts.
Giving us the dimensions and ratio to define the meter. Now, when you cosine stars,
he didn't say it.
A set altitude, because you have the angle, the starting angle.
Right, he's got a flat Earth elevation angle measurement on screen. Right, come on, I'm rooting for you. Just tell him it's flat. It's right there. Let's see if he does.
And you have the altitude set at the length of a terrestrial meridian, because remember, the position of the stars, specifically Polaris, as you go towards the equator, is what defines the northern hemisphere of this.
I mean, this is great, because what this demonstrates to me at this point, if it is foundational, and I trust what you're saying is presumably apocryphal, I'm going to be leading into him smashing them about with this stuff, right? But what it tells me is this guy knows exactly how they took a flat plane and turned it into a sphere. That much is clear. He knows that inside out, back to front, to be able to go through this in the way he is. So his knowledge is exemplary. I'll give him that, right? It's just the order, right? Come out of the gates with it, right? You've got the winning argument.
You're like on the edge of your seat, like, just say it. Like, I know. But he's just like, he's building up to it. And that's what I like that's why I really liked this debate last night. I'm like, dude, he broke it down.
So he builds up to it?
Yeah, like he's getting there. And then you're gonna see McToon snap. It's hilarious.
So he will build up to the Earth is measured flat.
Yes. Using the math that Globers are using to make it a sphere. It's beautiful. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I wish I knew that from the off, because I would have rested a lot more easy and been a lot less critical
of this projection. So anyway, when you follow that ratio, the law of cosines, you can computate a distance out of that. Now, when you take a zenith measurement of the star that you used as your reference when you traverse the land in units of measurement defined by the coordinate system, and your theodolite up there, you should see a star directly in the center of your telescope. But what they found was that the stars never are directly in their telescope, and they drift back and forth throughout the years. Now, they say that there's a precession that occurs where, Polaris used to be a Thuban or something like that, but the stars don't actually follow that sort of trajectory when they plot it out over time. If you look back at the almanacs, all the corrections, they go back and forth in the sky. There's no fixed defined point or preferred position for them. It's just an apparent position that's a snapshot of the sky based on the vernal equinox, which is called the first cusp of Aries. So then they went out to go.
Yeah, this is a problem. Again, it's right after me giving you a compliment for being well-versed. He's too well-versed. Because a lot of people are glazing over hearing this, right?
Measured they went to go take zenith measurements, like I just said, following the law of cosines, and they found that the stars were always off a little bit. Now, what they'll say is that you can only do celestial navigation and get.
May I say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that your zenith to any given light, like a celestial light, is apparent. So it will seem to follow you in a given area. So once you leave the given area that it's at your zenith, it will start to descend in your field of vision so that you can take an angle measurement to it in reference to zenith and horizontal.
I mean, I'm hearing you, but I'm just hearing the angle measurement not getting defined as being a flat earth proof.
The focus. That's my focus. But I want to point out that being an observer, just like being on a beach, when you see the sun setting and you see the reflection of the sun on the water, at your feet, it comes directly from the sun to your feet in your apparent vision of where the sun is and how it's reflecting on the water, right? Even somebody 10 miles down on the same beach will see the same sunset reflecting a beam of light or reflection of the light of the sun to their feet. And if you follow the water line and you go down the beach, the sunset reflection on the water is gonna follow you.
Yeah, I got all
right?
that.
So, yeah, so that the same thing happens in the sky. So while you're walking in any kind of distance or traveling in any kind of distance and you're looking at the zenith of a star above you, it'll stay at your zenith with a given area of distance. So you have to factor that in also. That's why they do the circle of equal elevation and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's nice to know this stuff, but by the same token, the last words you spoke were area of equal elevation. He's got 3 of them on screen to find your position. Okay, so that's a flat earth proof. This requires Earth to be a flat plane to measure these angles. That's all that matters, right?
Yes, that's all that matters.
Right, just for my audience, because it's driving me nuts. Earth's measured flat, and this diagram on screen shows it. These are 3 elevation angle measurements, just like the ones I had and put on pause on my stream. This is what we're measuring. We're measuring a flat baseline to have 90 degree at the base of the star. Now, if you're going to derive the distance to calculate a radial value to get this circle of equal elevation, you'd minus the angle from 90 and times it by 60. That's what you do. That's what's on screen. That's this measurement of a flat Earth. Who else makes these measurements? Well, McToon makes these measurements. These are in his 10K challenge. These are the angles that he presents in his 10K challenge. So he takes flat Earth elevation angle measurements of stars and starts asking how Earth can be flat with them. Those are flat Earth measurements. What other measurements do we take with altitude angles? Well, they take them in Antarctica when they measure the angle of the sun's shadow. That's an elevation angle. Solar elevation angle, to be specific. Let's actually cite this so people know that I'm not just making it up. It's not just an ipsy-dixit fallacy because it's true, I say so. So we'll go to a cited source that actually defines specifically what an elevation angle, otherwise known as altitude angle, is. Quote, the altitude angle, open brackets, sometimes referred to as the solar elevation angle, close brackets, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote. That's sus design, or sustainable by design, defining an altitude angle. So solar elevation angle like the ones measured in Antarctica, or elevation angle to a star, in this case, exampled by McToon's 10K challenge. Just so we're all clear what this flat Earth measurement is. Now, this guy might be building up something. Me, I just want to slap you in the face with it. Flat Earth measurements are what are on screen for him, you, I, Earth's measured flat. It's gone by in the live stream chat, but just a moment ago I posted a link to the show that we're covering, which is Modern Day Debates. I haven't actually read out the title, so I should really do that now. So the video itself, if you're just listening rather than watching, is debate, Alan and Dominic versus @McToon and Peter Markley podcast. So is it just me, or was it only McToon that got his channel represented with an @ sign? Okay. I see. Maybe it's them showing their bias. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, please let them know. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. You can see there's a link going by to Modern Day Debate in the chat right now. So leave them a polite comment that won't immediately get removed by YouTube or the videographer themselves. Just letting them know that we've sent you along to their channel. Share the YouTube love. Everybody loves getting a new comment. It helps them in the algorithm. On the other hand, it doesn't really help me or us as flatties. We're heavily suppressed. So the idea is that they would do the same for me if they were to cover our material.
Circles of equal altitude on a sphere like this, otherwise the angles won't add up.
Now, this is what bugs me about it now. So it was fine, he's leading up to something, but he's just said altitude on a sphere, and he's showing a picture of all three flat Earth elevation angle measurements with 90-degree boxes at each point below the star. So why is he describing altitude on a sphere? You can't have altitude on a sphere. Altitude is with respect to sea level, surface level.
Well, when you do that on a different projection map, it's going to look different because there's going to be a different corresponding correction for the transformation. When you apply the correct transformation, because of this map.
You don't have to do this, my friend. You're not a cartographer. You didn't make these projections. Are you a map maker? Why are you apologizing for this?
I feel like it's kind of an I'm not defending him because he and I are kind of rivals, by the way. I'll go ahead and say that.
Like
But
singing
I'm not trying to
rivals.
defend him or anything.
You're like have sing-offs
But
and
the
dance-offs with him.
coordinate, yeah. So the coordinate system that we utilize would be with the celestial bodies being at apparent positions, right? So that idea that we are using the celestial bodies that are at apparent positions, we are not able to map out the world in a big scale due to that in any circumstance, because it would be a reification fallacy.
Doesn't mean we can't map
Because
it.
maps are not the terrain.
Doesn't mean we can't map it. Why would that mean we couldn't map it?
I would say that concentric circles aren't achievable in reality. So we're not able to travel in concentric circles. But if we have those as some sort of reference point, that is beneficial to us in navigation on a smaller scale when we're using navigation, right?
Right. But the way the world presents
it's
itself.
not actually the terrain. So the map is not the terrain.
You're mistaking a reification fallacy for a useful map, right? Having a useful map or useful chart is very useful. Now, to suggest that the world is the map is a reification fallacy. They call it a model. That's also a reification fallacy. It's the same reification fallacy. That's not to say...
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but just let me get to the end, right? They've taken the world with known points at known times below known stars. Geographical positions. That's what the almanac is, right? We have this information. Now, after the fact, they've distorted a southern-based system horrendously, mapped it onto a globe, and created dozens and dozens and dozens of globe projections. Why? They've got to convolute the mapping system on the whole. That doesn't mean that it can't be done or that it wouldn't be useful if we had it. But it's also not my responsibility to A, produce it, or B, defend the nonsense waffle that's come out en masse after globe projection through Haversine conversion. I don't have to apologise for that or explain how it works. It's not my system. What I will do is point to the base measurements that system has started with. After that, I don't care. It's not mine. I take no responsibility for it. What's that? It doesn't work. Or in this case, it does work. This is how. So what? Now, moving forward, a very different discussion is in a room full of cartographers. Well, let's actually do it then. Okay. I wouldn't know how to begin. Good job I'm not a cartographer. Good job they haven't got my name on the top of this map. It's not actually a map, it's a globe projection. But nevertheless, this, to me, bugs me. He's using terminology like heights off globe and apologising for North and South Pole. Is that what these are? North and South Pole centric azimuthal equidistant projections. Looks like it. Or it's just flipped one the other way around, actually. Either way, inverted one like a mirror. Whatever. I don't take charge of these. They're not mine. I don't take any ownership of this crap.
It's written the exact same thing. There's a direct equivalence there, and it just looks distorted, but they all represent the same thing. That is the purpose of the graticule system and the symmetry of it. Now here we're looking at astronomy, which defines the positions of the stars, and we should be noted here.
I mean, this diagram's useful. I'm going to grab this. Because, yeah, what he's got here is the equatorial plane with the projected points around him, right? Now, he's not going to presumably explain how this comes to fruition, but when you're describing any movement of Earth, it's always, without question, described from within hell. The line that you see the globe moving around the sun on, for instance, it passes through the Earth, that line that they'll depict a solar system with. But that means that the actual Keplerian descriptions of elliptical orbital motion not only has been derived from a flat plane to measure the angles to make it make sense, those angles when describing it after the fact, after reification, as Fatsy puts it, put you inside the ball Earth that the points have been plotted out to, from the measurements off the plane to the angles of the stars. So that means that when you describe heliocentric orbital motion, you are very literally describing that motion from within hell, like you're standing in hell. And the only reason you must do it that way is so that it back calculates to the measurements of the angles on a plane. So it's just another useful diagram that they've put up on screen, one that I haven't obviously got. He's got this from a different source than 10th Man, which is where I got all of mine from. But yeah, it's very useful to show you. How does this work? Well, it works in a ball, on a plane, for the angles to function. Your globe needs a flat plane, because that's how it all begins. And that's all I'll be focusing on, regardless of where this foundational information leads for this dude.
At the bottom, it makes note that the celestial heavens look like a curved dome, but it's no greater than the curvature of the Earth. And there's equivalence between what you see in the sky versus the ground curvature in between to create the illusion that there's...
Yeah, that was telling. Did you hear him say between? That tells me he knows exactly where this is going. It makes me smile. Just that one word when he described the surface of the globe between what? What the equatorial plane, the angles are actually functionally measured on and useful for, and then extrapolated out when you're inside hell and moving on a ball that you're not on, you're in. But he said between, didn't he? Tells me all I need to know. Yeah, he knows exactly where this is going.
That the sky is curved. Now here we have all celestial objects in the sky are apparent to us. This is a manual from a solar panel manual. And this is describing how there's a true position of the sun, but what we see is projected in a dome that arcs around us in the sky. So we actually see it arc across the sky.
Yeah, flat Earth being utilized. This is a flat plane.
And this is also for the moon, showing the same thing. 1 second. Same thing for the moon. So all celestial bodies can actually be considered at an equidistant web.
flat Earth diagram again.
From us at that distance of 6218, which is that.
He's just not saying it. Right. I mean, I'm glad I can overdub this by just saying that's a flat Earth requirement. That's a flat Earth prerequisite. You're going to need a flat Earth for that. That'll require a flat Earth measurement, etc., like we are.
Distance from the North Pole to the equator. And circumference is not mutually exclusive to a...
Oh, that's a brilliant diagram. I really like that one. Remember... Oh, guys, check that out. Can you see on the live stream what we've got on screen right now? We described the globe Earth as being like a protractor around you, representing the flat plane of the sky that doesn't change its angle with elevation. Like you've got a protractor wrapped around you that is essentially a glorified globe. Well, check out what he's got. That's awesome. What a great diagram. I love it. Stealing that.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that this is how geometry was developed and trigonometry and all of that. It's because of the way that we see, the way we observe the Earth and the celestial bodies above us. So you have the left to right idea and the arc above you. That's how they developed trigonometry with the 0 degrees, 180 degrees, 90 degrees, and all of those in between. That was developed because of the way that we see. And that developed over time and was able to be, engineered into, or reverse engineered into such an idea that we could be on the arc that we're seeing being observer dependent, which isn't really an arc. We're actually utilizing the sky as a flat plane, as parallel to the plane of the horizon. So,
yeah,
so
back with this one. I kept it on screen. I paused my reel because I knew this would come in handy. Exactly as described and depicted here. Now, this has come from a book that's got page 87 disclaiming how you could calculate these into global positioning system coordinates, spherical coordinates after the fact. But in spite of that very lengthy description at the back of the book that this has come from, what they actually present depicts it. I'll do it on this one, see if my mouse appears. Yes, it does. So they've got a 90. Now, they don't put it in a box. And they represent this like it's on a curve. Same with the sky. But it's pretty clear what they're describing when you've got a box and you've got a 90. This is flat. It can only be that way. It's an elevation angle measurement. Minusing from 90 times by 60 up here necessitates this be an angle. It's depicted as such. But why would they throw in the curve right on the diagram? Yeah, because they don't want you to actually realise what's being measured. And it's a flat sky and a flat ground. That can be then represented as though it's a protractor around you. In other words, if this is your point of measurement and you've got a protractor around you, you can see that, let's just do it on the other screen. You can see that this is one of the measurements of an angle, yeah, at 60 degrees. But if you had a star further along this parallel line to the ground, yeah, that's going to give you a smaller measurement with respect to the ground that must be flat for it to be an angle. Quick shout out to Roger Ledwell. Hold on one sec. For the super chat. Really appreciate the support, Roger. He says, welcome to the cult of thing called flat Earth.
Pain in the ass.
I understand what he said. Welcome to the cult of thing called flat Earth. Thank you for the super chat, Roger Ledwell.
So I guess I would like to add, it really is important for everybody to understand observer dependent, which is the whole celestial sphere idea is derived from observer dependent given their location and time. So I think that people forget that a lot. It's not something that's in their core understanding, and it needs to be, I guess, repeated, kind of like propaganda, for them to understand it. And also think about it every time they think about an elevation angle measurement.
And circumference is not mutually exclusive to a disk or a circle. So so circumference, radius, all of that still applies applicably. Now we see in curved visual space, which means that it creates a dome of vision around us. So we see in one hemisphere at a time when we're looking out 180 degrees at the sky. What you can see, you can consider all celestial objects at that altitude, and that's how they do celestial navigation, and that's how the map coordinate system is derived in relation to that. Now, what we're looking at here specifically, though, is an anti-corpuscular shadow showing the relationship of how light in the perspective bends objects around you. So here the sun is blocked by a shadow that goes across the sky. You'll see it maximally diverge at her zenith, and then it starts to reconverge behind her, completing the shadow. And this is all due to perspective. This is and if you're familiar with anti-corpuscular rays, this is the exact same thing, but just a shadow. So do we have direct measurement?
Okay, thank you for the second super chat, Roger Ledwell. Welcome to the cult of thinking called Flat Earth. Gotcha. 3 super chats to get that correct. Really appreciate the support.
Measurements of Earth curvature? Well, we have the geodetic surveying from mctune.net/se. You can go there and read all about the triangulation of the arc of the parallel. This is full of astronomical corrections and comparisons. People will often say the Earth is flat, the Earth measures flat, the Earth measures curved. Well, in reference to what? Well, it turns out it's in reference to the stars, which was the part of my hypothesis here. And when we look through the data sets, we get angles that are sub 180 degrees, showing.
Yeah, it's frustrating. My hypothesis, false dichotomy, globe versus flat, and then offers up a degree. It's like that proves it's flat. You can't have it be a degree unless it's on a flat plane. Who was it earlier that said it sounds like he's scared of the shotgun? That's the best analogy so far. He sounds a bit nervous. And
Waxy.
I understand. I could tell you why he's afraid to just outright make the claim. It's because if you black out the sky and you don't have that as a reference for anything, you wouldn't be able to figure out your latitude, longitude on the Earth.
Yeah, and?
Yeah, there's no other thing.
You just do it with the sun. Just wait till the sun comes up and do it with the sun. You're saying, oh, it's a cloudy day, you can't see the sun to triangulate your position.
You can't see the sun, you can't see anything.
Right, so you might be.
If the whole
I got it. Hold on. I got it.
Sorry.
But you just wait. People who are in that position, that literally does occur, Flatsy. Do they still just die at sea as a result? No, they wait till they can see a star, and sometimes they might be waiting. And waiting. But so long as they've got enough food and they can keep the ship afloat, and eventually the clouds break, they will see a star and be able to figure out where the bloody hell they are, even if they've drifted from the last time that they were going, oh, we better have a look and figure out where we are. Yeah?
That's a good point.
One more thing. Same applies with rough weather. Do you think it's really easy to use a sextant on a boat that's rocking around violently in a storm, for example? Definitely not. You might be in the storm for a week. So what? You're going to just say, well, bugger this, right? We can't measure the stars. Let's just accept that and die. No.
That's a good point. I want to highlight how good of a point you just made, and how these ideas of traveling in any kind of concentric circle that would be a definitive east to west circumnavigation, it's not achievable. That's never going to be achievable, because we only experience the world in so the observer dependent, right? So we need to realize that the observer dependent would be on a small scale at any given time and any given point.
Planar measurements, but then after astronomical corrections and comparisons, the spherical excess is computed as noted in the glossary.
There was him basically nailing the coffin shut, but he did it so subtly. Did anybody just hear what that man just said?
Yeah, it was good, actually.
Okay. What he just did was destroy the globe by pointing out what is calculated after the plain R measurements, end quote him. That was his coup de grace, and he snuck it in near the end of his presentation.
Good. Finally.
Why? Well, I don't want to subtly decapitate somebody. Decapitation isn't subtle. Let's just listen to what he just said. Right, let's listen. I'm going to rewind it. Listen to what he just said, or what he will say.
It's angles that are sub 180 degrees, showing planar measurements, but then after astronomical corrections and comparisons, the spherical excess is computed as noted in the glossary.
You will hear that as a full statement. 123 people watching. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Smash that share button. It's just 2 clicks, and you can put your favourite flat Earth debate show onto your favourite social media platform, Bebo or MySpace or whatever it is you use. You could hear me hesitating, thinking of those old out-of-date platforms there for a second. You could hear the cogs turning. You could tell I got up at 5:30.
And then we have deflections of the verticals, which is supposed to be the explanation as to why the stars are never in the correct positions. They say that that's due to the Earth's oblateness. This goes...
The vertical? What, with respect to the horizontal? Oh, this is cringe. I'm sorry, whoever suggested this. No, again, you're whistling past the flat Earth prerequisite when you use those words like vertical. Yeah, they don't have that. You can't have vertical on a sphere, right? You've got in and out. These are flat Earth prerequisites. Okay. Someone explain this to me. Why is this guy doing this? Is his name Alan? Alan, I beg of you. You've got all the winning arguments. Is it Alan? Alan! Alan!
It is Alan.
You've got all the winning arguments, man. Just lead with them.
Goes back to the Nautical Almanac and throughout the history of that, when they did surveying on different ellipsoid models to determine the eccentricity for the corrections that were needed for celestial objects. So what they're doing here is doing triangles in the sky, transposing them on the ground, and wondering.
This is not an accurate depiction. The triangle that's representative of this bent pizza slice is accurate in terms of their plotting the coordinates of a PCX triangle, but it isn't representative of this triangle. It's representative of the celestial sphere, or hemisphere in this instance, that would match this. Yeah? So the points plotted from within this spherical diagram that's off screen, right? You'd have you on a flat plane measuring out this angle, and the points that correspond through the globe, that's where he said between, up to the celestial sphere. So this is a bit of a misnomer in this diagram.
Why they don't line up when everything in the sky is apparent to us.
Sure, good.
I know I've already spoken enough. This is the last time, I promise.
You don't worry about it. I'm not QE. Go ahead.
Sorry. So Alan is the one person that in ether cosmology that the guy that we're listening to, by the way, he's the one who defended a double negative being sufficient for some sort of logical deduction for the ether, by the way. So this guy may not be what you want him to be logically. So just bear that in mind, at least, because I have to.
I don't want him to be anything. I'm just expressing my disappointment, and then over the top, I'm expressing how, I would express to my audience, as I've got 120 of them as we speak, where there's flat Earth proofs coming along the way. So do what you do as you want, man. I don't care.
As long as
mutually exclusive things to go over here.
Wrong with that.
One more time.
As long as he can separate the two, and he doesn't bring that type of contradiction to his argument about flat Earth, because ether, whatever that is, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't bring flat Earth.
This is kind of expected, right? So we're seeing people come through the woodwork that we wouldn't typically see as a result of TFE, which is the same with the something warrior, Zetetic warrior guy, Umi. In this instance, this Alan guy, Tyrion. You're like, okay, yeah, well, hopefully we'll unite in the most reasonable explanation for our position as flat earthers, which is just Earth's measured flat.
That I'm going to present, but as we go through the debate, this is the geometric properties of shadows at sunset, circumpolar orbits for terrestrial navigation, and satellite orbits. We'll look at some of these over different projections and see if
the orbits are derived from the plane that was in the diagram that he had previously, and the lines of latitude that he's got wrapped around this globe require a flat plane measurement of Polaris.
They truly represent north-south circumpolar navigation. And then, of course, we have Battle of the Beams, where radars were used to intersect at distances well beyond what would be blocked by Earth curvature to guide planes at night to do bombing runs for over the course of a year. How much time am I at?
He's got about 3 minutes left by my reckoning. But if they tell him that, he's got to now start, setting fire to all of these arguments that he's presented as foundational and bring it to a head, right? Earth's measured flat. Does he do that? Please let him do that.
All right, Dom, you want to...
You can go if you want, and I need just like 2 minutes. I did presentation about motion, so you can go.
All right, cool. Okay, so starting off with circumpolar orbits right here. What we're looking at here is you're going to be coming down the ball, then you're going to be coming up the other side of the ball. This is a true north-south orbit here. And then when you look at that on an equirectangular projection, you'll see the same relationship. It goes off the screen, and then this would be going down the ball, you're going up the ball. Doesn't matter which one, but it'll always be the opposite. So when you transform that onto an AE projection, what you would have is this. This is what it would.
Yeah, can you hear how nervous he is when he said AE projection? Just gotta bring it home, man. Come on, you can do it.
Look like you're going up the ball, down the ball, back around, up the ball, down the ball. Now, when we look at all publicly available equirectangular projections given to us, they make figure eights in the sky. They make giant flower life patterns over the Earth. They don't represent the proper north-south circumnavigation. So all satellite orbits are evidence that the Earth is planar, as noted by how they never do any north-south circumnavigation. Now, this would be a feat of the globe. You would see projections like this, but you guys have never seen one, and you'll have to go back to look at it again because it's the only time you'll ever see it. So we're just going to continue through here. All of these showing the same thing. They're figure eights in the sky. Now we're going to look at north-south terrestrial navigation done from planes. There were several Pan Am flights that were done for like tourist attractions and world records, et cetera. So we're going to look at the routes that they plotted out on equirectangular.
Yeah, because it's north and south, right? Earlier, he's giving them their down on a ball, which is, there's no such beast when you're talking about these directions.
When you go through an azimuthal projection, you'll find that they're just making a big circle across the ground. Same thing for other Pan Am flights they did. And then, of course, the One More Orbit crew, which was trying to set a world record. And when you plot their route out, it shows the exact same relationship where there is no true going over the ball and coming up around the other side to do circumnavigation. And when called out on this on Twitter by our boy Gleam, shout out to Gleam, the response was to blame the marketing team for using a conceptual route and not the actual flight route that they took. So again, all publicly available representations of this do not represent north-south navigation, and that would be an absolutely mandatory feature to be, if the globe projection was the correct interpretation of the map. Now, of course, we have Battle of the Beams to continue off of that, where two intersecting beams over different distances, one 450 miles, the other 330 miles, intersecting at an altitude of 19,000 feet with a...
So distances, linear, flat Earth. Heights, altitudes, flat Earth. You need flat Earth for all of these things. It's like making examples with flat Earth prerequisites. It's kind of like the ballers do to us when they use flat Earth measurements and then whistle past them and start telling you about globe calculations. This guy's doing the same thing. Suddenly the penny's dropped. Maybe it's because they do it so much. It's been intrinsically instilled in this guy to do the same. Take a flat Earth measurement, whistle past it, and start describing how flat Earth can be proven with it. It's like, you've already proven it. You've measured it. Don't use the measurements to prove Earth's flat when you've measured Earth flat with the measurements. Miles, altitude. These are flat Earth prerequisites. You're talking about heights above sea level and linear distances in miles.
Maximum beam divergence over target of 400 to 600 yards, respectively, depending on the starting location. And that would be geometrically impossible on a globe. In fact, the British, a few years prior to the radar system being used, said that due to their calculations, the radar system would hit Earth curvature at 50 miles and be completely useless.
1:30 left.
So he's got 90 seconds. So he's got 90 seconds to bring this home. Apocryphon. Does he really?
He comes back later. No, there's a whole nother part. Remember, you fast forward it.
Man, nah.
There's a break.
I was expecting it in the next minute and a half. You're telling me that this foundational... No, there's enough foundation here. Surely he's proving Earth's flat in the next 90 seconds.
That's all I got. I want to yield it to Dom.
What? What the hell?
The whole time, here's the thing, Nathan. The whole time he's like saying to the audience, this is what the globe, they say that the globe is, because that's the proponents, right? McToon and Peter. And sure. he's using what they would say, but showing like the truth, like it's all planar. It's not a globe. Like that's essentially that's what he's saying this entire time. He's just not directly saying it. So he's like tap dancing around it, and he doesn't like drop it like just flat out, but he's just like putting a bunch of nails in this coffin, and he's ready to kill it. And then when you go a little bit later, I think McToon actually like realized this, and that's why he gets really defensive and he tries to do like damage control. And he's like, "You're using globe measurement," but that's the interaction that I actually want you to like also hear and listen to, because it's comical. But yeah, you're right. He didn't flat out say it, but this entire time he's been like just destroying it, and we get it. We understand it. Like we know what he's like.
Yeah,
like
but we have to.
Like, oh, I see.
Yeah, but we have to. He's not getting praise from us, even though he's doing what you could argue we're suggesting people do, because he's not making it overt. He's making it subtle. He's burying the lead. That's what he's doing.
To be fair,
the same guy.
Hold on, Flatsy.
Same guy.
Flatsy. Hold on, Flatsy. Go ahead, Chocolate.
To be fair to the guy, he's doing what kind of like what we used to do, right? We used to ask the Globers for their evidence, and obviously the evidence they never provided. It would just they just would not be able to provide any evidence for their claims, right? So we would say whatever they do say would be impossible on the globe. Right now, it's just measured flat, right? But what he's telling them is all of this is impossible on the globe. He's just using different rhetoric.
He hasn't said that.
Right.
Those words didn't cross his lips. If they did, I'd be praising him.
At the end.
No, he did. He did. He said it right before you. He said it. It's impossible on the globe. He did say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the same guy that told me when I pointed out his double negative and his justification of even pondering some sort of logic off of a double negative. I told him that it was improper for a logical syllogism in English. And the same guy told me, irrespective of the grammar, the logical point still stands that nothing cannot exist. Okay? So that's a double negative.
Oh, God.
All right, cool. So before I begin, I took some notes there to kind of give a broad spectrum reply to everything, and then we could go over the specifics and details. So to start us off with, there was a lot of slander, fallacies, ad homs, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to bother talking about those or addressing those any further. Discussion right now? No, not yet. I'm doing a quick recap that we're going to get into it. So anyway.
Do you want to do a quick recap in terms of just a few points, though? Because like if it is, just to be a heads up.
Holy freaking gain control, dumbass.
I was waiting for that.
I'll just increase my compressor significantly to cope with this dumbass who doesn't know how to use a freaking microphone. Let's just sort it out after the fact with a nice heavy dose of compression so my audience's ears don't bleed.
That it is, if it is too many minutes, it's kind of like it defeats the purpose of open dialogue. So maybe just a few points. Okay. Otherwise, it turns into rebuttal speeches.
Yep, gotcha. All right, cool. So redefining flat earther as robothism does nothing, right? The original premise was that you can't use objects in the sky to prove what the shape of the earth is. You can prove what the shape isn't, right? Following the scientific method there. Now, it was stated that sunsets would be mutually exclusive on a globe to cause the physical obstruction to block light. Now, of course, there's light attenuation and
Wait, I'm sorry. Alan is giving a rebuttal to our presentation. I thought this was a recap of his presentation, not a rebuttal to ours. We should be able to speak if he's giving a rebuttal to
Peter,
ours.
well, just a minute or two.
Yeah.
And so we'll give you a chance, but I agreed.
I thought he'd shut up, but I'm going to have to permanently leave that compressor on because it's just too freaking loud. Oh my God.
It's funny. Alan even tells him, like, hey, take your mic out of your mouth, like in a little bit. Like he even like tells him because it did come out loud.
I mean, I did just tell him that, well, we don't want it to go more than just a 1 minute.
Move your mic away from your face, James.
So what we'll do is we'll give him a couple of minutes, and by that I mean like we'll give you another 60 seconds, Dominic, and then we.
Was that him telling to get his mic out of his mouth?
Yeah, he literally just did it right now.
It's because I've compressed him to all hell. I couldn't hear the guy telling him to take his freaking mic out of his mouth. Oh
yeah, he killed everybody's ear.
We got to go into where they can actually respond.
Yeah, so this was my original presentation, like all the points that they brought up, right? Objects above the horizon don't prove the shape of the Earth. So we can get into each specific thing mentioned. So sunsets, Toon was saying that latitude-dependent sunspots, all of these things, we're going to go over all of them explicitly. And it was stated that the sun has to be, 93 million miles away, but we're going to go over how that's not the case for celestial navigation to work. So anyway, whenever you gentlemen are ready.
I'm ready.
This is open dialogue. They've been ready the whole time. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Why did I trust that it would not happen again? Let's just turn it up to 11. Freaking compressor time. I'll just right. Sorry, guys, who had reasonable audio on the Modern Day Debate show. Right, I'm just going to leave the compressor on for the sake of my audience. It's the third time I've turned it off and on again.
Okay, cool. So if sunsets truly prove a globe,
no, this is open dialogue. That you've already talked for like several minutes during open dialogue.
Already the right decision.
Now we got to give somebody else a chance.
Oh, I was waiting and nobody said anything. Go ahead.
Yeah. As I said, you didn't address how the angular size of the sun can vary throughout the day using whatever you think the flat Earth explanation is.
Great. That's a good thing that you brought that up. That is in the notes, and that was covered in the Prezi at the beginning. So the sun and all celestial bodies are considered to be infinite light sources, and you could treat them that way in regards to the distances. So for celestial navigation specifically, you can treat everything at a distance of 6,218 miles away from you at the altitude. That's what they cosine to stars. So you can...
What?
This is the part that I wanted to hear how you critique it, Nathan. This is actually like the main part. I was wondering like how you would address it.
He just contradicted himself. What else can I say other than what?
Think of a celestial sphere in that way. So if everything is an apparent light source that's projected to us, and we see it in our...
What does he mean by apparent? I was going to ask Flatsy earlier, and I assume she's got that terminology from him using this terminology. Apparent?
Nope, that's not true.
Okay, what do you mean by apparent then, Flatsy?
Not actual. So the way we see celestial bodies are apparent. So we can't actually give some sort of definitive claim to their position or what they are.
Yeah, but apparent means that they're not actually in the positions that they're suggested to be in. Appearing, but not actually. Well, hold on. No, hold on. You don't know that about the stars either. I take umbrage with almost any description of the stars because more often than not, in this case, right, you and him, apparent, appearing, but not actually. What do you mean not actually? Not actually what? What are they again for you to say what they're not actually doing? In terms of how they present themselves, what we can't physically get to them to measure them. How do you know that? You know that we can't. Hold on, I'm chastising you. You know we can't, do you, Flatsy? How bold of you to say that we can't do that. How would you confirm that we can't do that? You can't.
I would say that the stars or celestial bodies are in apparent positions, given the way that we view them from our observer's point. So they're observer dependent. They're not actual positions given each observer. They're observer dependent. So we have
on the
to
contrary,
label them as apparent positions.
You're saying they've not got actual positions. Yeah, they do. Ground positions. The position that they're above at a given time is very useful.
I agree.
Right.
I would say that their apparent positions give us a ground location that is in an area, not a specific point, but an area where they are. That's why there's a circle of equal elevation or circle of equal altitude taken from the ground position of the star.
Look, you're going to have to accept that no matter how anybody ever describes the stars ever, I'm almost inevitably going to take umbrage with whatever words are used. Because
right. Well, I would say you can prove what I say by when you go outside and you walk in one direction, the star that you would be pointing to as your zenith or something close to your zenith, it will follow you until it gets to a certain point of an area where it will drop in your vision in an angle measurement. So you can take an angle measurement to it, whether it's at your zenith or somewhere not at your zenith, but it'll drop from your zenith given a certain area, not a point, but an area.
Yeah, you've been very careful with your words, and there's nothing to disagree with in what you've stated. But you've very slyly not fell into the trap of describing it with a word called perspective, have you? You obviously avoided that word, knowing that would probably get your knuckles wrapped also. But we can't describe what they are with the words that we use to describe things here on the ground, because they do not behave like things that we experience on the ground, apparent or otherwise. So it's not your fault or this guy's fault, but I'm going to take umbrage with almost any description, because often the description given either utilises terrestrial behaviour of objects that we can interact with, or uses exclusive behaviour that permits you to suggest that they can't do things that you haven't confirmed they can't do, because you don't know what they are. So you're in a kind of a no-win in this, but we're going to move on. We're going to have a quick listen to what else, and then we'll be asking people to stay tuned shortly.
Field of vision, then it's not. It isn't a prediction of ours.
That geometry works on a globe. It doesn't work on a flat Earth. So if you're just saying that it's a magical thing that we can't explain, then that doesn't.
Who's this dickhead? That's a baseless assertion fallacy. So just saying, oh well, it works on a globe. Well, actually, no, it works in a globe as per the diagrams the guy gives you. But you're just spewing a baseless assertion and then telling him that he's got magical thinking. Who's this Wally? Who's this guy? Is this Peter?
That's Peter. Peter, he went after Alan. That's why I told you to skip it. That's why Alan, when he came back, he's like, that was all ad homs. Like, that guy Peter had like the worst presentation. It was nothing more than like, I just wanted to punch someone in the face. Let me just put it that way. Like, it was just disgusting, everything he said. And then you'll realize he's the one that keeps crying. Like, oh wait, are you doing a rebuttal? Like, he's the one that keeps like jumping in and trying to cut Alan off. And now he's doing it again.
Help you.
Well, we have a hemisphere of vision, and we have two respective hemispheres that are mapped to the so-called globe that you think we live on. That's actually a spherical coordinate system. So this isn't mutually exclusive to either. Both have elevation angles to the stars.
No, the geometry works on a globe. It doesn't work on.
So this dick is now interrupting with the same baseless assertion that he spewed last time that's getting addressed. Like, guys, you accuse me of having a mute button. He's in the middle of his statement that refutes the baseless assertion made by this numpty. Is the moderator going to tell him to shut the hell up? What's going to happen? We all heard his baseless assertion. Now we're hearing it again through the top of this man. Why? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to overload everyone's freaking eardrums for this?
On a flat Earth.
Yeah, just shows the geometry. Are you referring?
Hey, dick! Is this a neutral platform? Are you a wanker globe believer? It seems like you're a wanker globe believer, because you've just allowed this total asshole to spew a baseless assertion, not back it with anything, and then upon it getting addressed, allow him to spew the same baseless assertion again through the top of the man that's addressing it. Do you think this is neutral? You are delusional, my friend. You with your stupid, idiotic microphone that you don't know how to use. You delusional, globe-believing numpty. You're not a neutral platform.
The flat Earth geometry. Show us the flat Earth geometry. How does the angle work on flat Earth to pick your slit?
Stuttering much there, Toon? How does the angle work on flat Earth? It just is a flat Earth prerequisite. It's an angle. That why you're stuttering? You know it, Toon. Don't you? He tried to deflect with measurements.
Celestial object. Show the map for it for different locations on the Earth.
Okay, 1 second. You want...
Not for the globe. I mean, you spoke at length about the massive success of the globe using spherical coordinate systems. I completely agree. You've not addressed how it works on flat Earth yet, though.
I mean, he actually has. He's just so subtle with his presentation that nobody realises he's proven a flat Earth on multiple occasions. He's also whistled past the graveyard of flat Earth prerequisites like altitude. He's describing heights and not pointing out that you need a flat Earth for them. And he's subtly hinting at the idea that flat Earth prerequisites exist within the elevation angle that he's hopefully going to get to eventually. I mean, please get to there eventually. Now he's put that to you like you haven't just demonstrated Earth's measured flat with these angles that Toon's literally stuttering about. He knows they need a flat Earth. They're angles. You don't have a flat Earth prerequisite described from a curved baseline. It's an angle. That's why he's stuttering.
Well, it would be just the same elevation angles to stars, right? Because we're starting with Polaris.
Boom! What are you going to do, Toon?
As you get further away, 69 miles per degree, if there's an optical equivalence, that's what my position is, through curved visual space. Which
Pound says, before this tete-a-tete is over, this dude interrupts.
I brought up in the original Prezi there.
Yeah, what is that? Show us that geometry.
Called it.
Can you stop interrupting, please?
Yeah.
I'm interrupting because he's not answering the question. He's just invoking.
So, dickhead with overloading mic, you run this shit show, right? That's called neutral? No, you delusional clown. This is not neutral. One of your guests has just asked this dickhead to shut up. Hey, what are you doing about it? Hey, it's all right by you, right? Neutral platform. He's a globe believer. Of course it's going to be tolerated. You delusional clown. Why do you advertise this as neutral? You're just a liar.
Magical terminology and not.
So is it just me, or is that the same exact shit that this idiot interrupted with last time? The same exact words. Are you just going to allow this? Of course you are, because it's neutral. Neutral, right? This dickhead can spew this shit endlessly as much as he likes through the top of anybody. Doesn't matter that one of the guests has just appealed to you to shut him up. You won't do a damn thing.
Answering the question.
Well,
it's just faith-based here. Yeah. But as I said,
is it Toon's turn to talk? No moderation. No, he's interrupted. The interruption's not getting addressed. Toon's taking over. Neutral much? He's in the middle of a sentence. No justifiable reason for him to interrupt. We heard it 3 times. The same words. What are you doing? Is your job here to just blow people's eardrums out because you don't know how to use a mic and claim you've got a neutral platform? You're a liar. You're a delusional liar. Why are you lying to your audience about being neutral? Why? It offends me.
Presentation, everything will dead end at faith. So you said
I referenced an astronomy book from 1920 that went over the optical equivalence between the two.
Okay.
So you want specific math. They're telling you that they're identical.
All right, one sec, just to be sure that.
Is it just me, or is when he finally gets the frickin' mic back to finish off his sentence, then the neutral platform decides to speak? He's been interrupted unjustifiably. Toons then took the reins after he's attempted it again. The moment he actually does start talking, after pausing, so you didn't interrupt these two assholes, when he finally does get the mic, that's when you choose to speak. You're delusional, you're a liar, you're a shitbag, and you're definitely not neutral. You're a liar. You are biased towards the globe, aren't you? That's what you are. Biased. So everybody takes part in this neutral platform, claimed to be neutral by a man who will interrupt you when you finally fight for the mic back, after your compadre on your own side's actually asked your opponents to shut up, because they keep interrupting. You won't say a word, but when they finally do, of their own volition, not because of your neutral moderation that you haven't done. I mean, you hesitated, you brought your mic up to do it, and then did nothing until they started talking. What an outrage! You're a charlatan! Is that what you need to give them a little helping hand by lying about being neutral? What a scumbag.
So we don't have everybody. I do want to. So I think Peter asked a question, or Peter said,
I think the guy interrupting with the same thing 3 times has actually got to have the floor in the middle of your sentence, my friend. I think that's the only reasonable and neutral thing to do here. What a wanker! Really? That was what you stepped over him to do after he got the mic back? To let the tosser that keeps interrupting with the same thing over and over again talk? Because you think he's got a question, do you? No, he's talking about magical thinking and told him that it works on a spherical system. We heard it 3 times.
but I'm looking for this particular thing, Alan. We'll give you a chance to answer that question. Peter, can you say it one more time? What was it that you were looking for from Alan?
I'm looking for the geometry of how he thinks that star zenith angles work.
He can't even form a coherent sentence. This guy's a complete numpty. He doesn't know what he bloody wants.
Work on a flat Earth because they work according to geometry on a globe.
According to geometry? You are a spastic. You understand me? What's his name? Peter. You're a spastic. There's no other words for it.
But he's just invoking magical phrases and saying,
it's the 4th time hearing it, not going to make it sink in. Do you think we need to hear it a 5th time? You are stupid. Magical, you say? Do I need to get a pen? No, you utter clown. We heard you. Oh, yeah, but it doesn't matter that we've heard it now 5 times. This guy, he couldn't give a shit, could he? Couldn't give a shit. The Globe Believers have got the mic, so his job's done for the time being. Should the Flatties get the mic back, I'm sure he'll pipe up.
saying, show us the geometry for how those magical phrases work.
All right, let's give him a chance. My guess is that you would disagree with that, Alan.
Yes. We have the exact same equivalence for optics. We have a radius of vision we see in a dome. When you compare what you see in the sky to the ground, they say that there's an equivalence there, but trust us, it's the ground that's curved. That's what I went over earlier in the beginning of the presentation with the citation from the astronomer book.
It's not trust us. That's not correct.
This isn't trust us, bro. It's a direct.
He didn't say trust us. That was 20 seconds he got before interruption.
Primary source documentation. Would you like me to read it aloud, sir?
If you think it'll answer the question, sure.
It absolutely.
He was answering the question. You just interrupted him, and the moderator did absolutely nothing.
Does, and then we'll go over the math here in a second. So overhead is a dome of the heavens, which so far is determined by the actual positions of the visual bodies, like the heavenly orbs or the blue sky or the clouds.
Based on past experience, this explanation, which is not simple, will get interrupted within the next 15 seconds of me pressing play.
Is in no reality a definable shape, but may be geometrically regarded as a hemisphere around its center. This is not indeed the natural idea of the observer, whom the dome of the heavens appears somewhat a flattened form, the horizon being between them 3 to 4 times away over the region overhead. Considering the cloudy sky, we have to remember that we must rightly understand what we see is usually the curved surface at which we look is much flatter than this. We mistakenly attribute the domed shape of the heavens, whereas in reality, the curvature is no greater than the curvature of Earth itself. So I'm saying that there's an optical equivalence there. You guys studied Robothamism. So what was Robotham's position about the curvature of your eye and optics in everyone mistaking the curvature of the ground for the measuring device that they're using?
That's not the core of Robothamism.
Fair enough. I called that wrong. He got a full 60 seconds almost 60 seconds uninterrupted there. Fair enough.
Core of Robothamism is believing the sun stays above the earth 24/7, 365, which, if I'm not mistaken, you also believe. That makes you a Robothamist.
Can I ask like why we still bring up the Robotom? Because like for example, in Czech, Slovakia, and in our countries, we like don't care about the Robotom at all. And there was like some generations who believe in flat Earth cosmology before Robotom. So
yeah, you just need to call Strawman if he didn't claim it. He's accused him of being a Robotham guy. If that's not the case, he just needs to call it out as Strawman. If he is, he needs to defend it. I mean, you're defending his virtue by saying you don't stand by it, which is fine, but you could just call Strawman if you knew that, but you're not the one being addressed with this. But there we go.
Like in China, for example, until 17th century, because like until Jesuits came to Asia, they believed that Earth is flat and stationary, and they have like dome up of their heads. So I don't think they.
Who gives a crap what they believed?
New Robotom.
Yeah, so, Dominic, did you not hear my presentation? The sun, they believed the sun went below the flat Earth. Those people were not robothamists. You are a robothomist because you don't believe the sun goes underneath the Earth.
Can you just say that those people did believe it went under the Earth? I'm slightly confused now by his last statement.
I don't think this is a definition of robotism.
Yeah, I don't agree with the definition, and I don't care if you
I don't care if you agree with it or not.
It doesn't matter. You said you wanted to go over some geometry and math. Would you like to do that now, or what?
Yeah, I'd like to see the flat Earth geometry, not the globe geometry. If you use the radius of the globe, you're acknowledging that the Earth is a globe. You don't
using the radius of
radius. Your eye doesn't have a radius of 6,171 kilometers. The radius of your eye is just a couple centimeters max. So that's that. You don't get to use the radius of the globe and pretend that it's flat Earth.
It's the radius of our vision, sir.
There's no radius for vision.
Direct equivalence. We just read it. We just read about the.
It is not a physical object. It's a spherical space with no physical radius. It's incoherent to apply a linear measure to the radius of that sphere.
Well, we see in curve vision.
Right, well, how do you think it was measured? It's a minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris. So what are you saying? You can't use nautical miles? What are you talking about? It has to be linear. It is measured flat. I don't know where it goes with this. We'll spin on a little bit.
Wix.
So you have a.
I asked you really nicely if you could like explain it, because for me and Earth, which is something I think you are doing the same. So we should be able to discuss this evidence. It's one of the best.
Wait, none of that was a presentation to support your claims. It just.
Are these flat Earth elevation angle measurements of shadows by any chance?
Sorry, they already mentioned the zenith angles. A zenith is perpendicular to the plane of the horizon.
Yeah, flat Earth.
We should be game over already.
Yeah, is somebody saying that though? Hopefully.
I mean, you totally hogged all of Alan's time, but Alan, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So what we have here is two overlapping beams that create a coherent tone in the signal in the center called an equisignal. The left of the center will be noted by dashes, and the right will be noted by dots. When they intersect, you hear a coherent tone. So this radar system was used to propagate out horizontally, where at 19,000 feet, the beam geometry that a pilot would fly through would be intersected by another beam using a slightly lower frequency. So when you hear the two tones, you would know that you're over target, and this would go on for hundreds of miles. Actually, it was noted by the Germans who built the system that at
excellent. Right, slap that down on the table pretty well.
13,000 feet at 1,000 kilometers, the beam divergence was less than a degree. So it was completely accurate and not being diffracted or accounting for.
Yeah, again, he's whistling past the flat Earth prerequisite. Less than a degree, with respect to what? Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Refraction or anything like that, because the thing with this radar system is if the beam diffracts, the geometry needed to create the equisignal is lost, and it'll create pseudo signals and gaps in between it, and it'll be completely ruined. You wouldn't be able to use it to fly a bomber at 19,000 feet through the air over target now.
Okay, I've seen this behavior before, right? So I saw this behaviour when I was about 19, working in a retail shop, electrical retail that sold cameras and electronics, right? And in that shop, there were certain salespeople that would sell something to somebody, and at the point that they've given all the information they need for that person to understand that it is the product they want to buy, they'd continue to sell it to them. That's what this guy's doing. So at the point that I paused, I went, boom, excellent. We're still listening to him, aren't we? Earlier I said, oh, he knows too much. Yeah? He's over-egging the pudding. That's what this is right now.
Now, the thing that makes this mutually exclusive here is that it's using the latitude, longitude coordinate system to dial in targets and the locations of the towers. Now,
will you now point out that that requires a flat Earth to measure, or will we whistle past this graveyard?
When you math out what the predictions are for Earth curvature, the radar system...
Yep, just straight onto Earth curvature. What are you doing, man? So, latitude, Earth's flat. That's 3 words. Latitude, Earth's flat.
It hit Earth curvature at about 50 miles, but what ends up happening is that it goes for hundreds of miles. So, for example...
Yeah, the miles are going to be depicted in a linear fashion, flat with respect to a plane. These diagrams are always flat. Now, maybe he doesn't realise this. Now, I've only seen this for the first time today, but we're talking about linear distances across a plane. All roads always lead to a flat Earth. There it is on screen. It must be for any of this to make any sense at all. Ballistics, trajectories, it's all got to be described with respect to a plane. All roads lead to a flat Earth measurement. Let's see if he says that. Because it's on screen, right?
According to the official narrative, the beam was measured with a divergence of 500 yards at the equisignal at 270 miles. And this would only be, it was 50 miles shy of the dirt site measured at Spalding. And it was at, 400 yards wide. And that is...
What are you waffling and babbling and stuttering about? Earth's flat. You've just proven it. He's scared of the shotgun. He's learned how to clean the shotgun. He's learned how to use the shotgun. He's got the shotgun in his hand. He's not pulling the trigger.
That geometry is impossible on a globe because you hit Earth curvature at 30 to 50.
Don't tell him how it's impossible on a globe. It could only be describing a flat Earth. It's on screen. We've got to shake this habit of telling people how it disproves a globe. Let them prove their positive assertion that it is a globe. And when they attempt to do so, use every bit of knowledge that you've already acquired to point out how Earth's measured flat in their claim. But you're saying it can't be a globe. That just leaves in the mind's eye of the audience the idea of it could or couldn't be a globe when there's a flat Earth prerequisite measurement on screen. Earth's measured flat for any of this to start taking place. I don't think the guy's pointed it out once. Somebody said one of the audience chat members said, look, he's slow cooking them. Okay, at some point, you've got to serve the dinner. You've got to put it out on the plate. Or it just goes to mush.
50 miles, which would destroy the geometry. It would be completely useless. The only argument you could make is that it follows a tangent to the sky, which would place the beam 38.
Why are you telling them what their argument could be?
Oh, God.
What's going on? It's like, back with the cooking analogy for the guy in the chat that says he's slow cooking them. No. He's cooked the perfect steak. And we, at that point that it's perfect, stand by that barbecue and go, wow, that steak looks perfect. And he looks you in the eye and says, yeah, I am now going to turn this steak back and forth for the next 40 minutes until it's ruined. And you're going to watch me do it.
8,000 feet in this instance over target, which creates a deficit in the equisignal of 18,000 feet, which means that the beam would have to be 3 miles wide to be used, and that's not what was measured by.
Now, better analogy is he's got a whole stack of steaks because this guy's got his fridge is overflowing. Right, this guy's so knowledgeable.
I know, right?
Right. So he's got an overflowing fridge full of steaks, and what does he keep doing for the audience who are watching this? He keeps cooking a steak perfectly and then setting it to one side on the grill. So that's a flat earth proof you've cooked to perfection. But rather than sticking it on someone's plate and making sure they damn well eat it, you've set it to one side on the grill and started cooking the next steak perfectly. And when that's cooked perfectly, you're setting it aside on the grill rather than on someone's plate. Over and over and over again. Now, everyone's just watching him cook steaks perfectly. Now, it's only the guy like us, the chef in the crowd, watching this barbecue, going, man, that guy really does know how to cook steaks. It's just a shame no one's eating them.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, he's cooking the steak and sticking it in the fridge. He's just afraid. He's just afraid to pull the trigger on the argument. I don't understand why. Because he knows enough to where he knows for a fact it's a flat Earth proof. I just don't get why he won't pull the trigger.
Maybe nobody's told him. Maybe nobody's told him. Right? Every word you're saying proves a flat Earth. Now, when I started saying that, what was it, 18 months ago? Well, Earth's measured flat. People started telling me, no, you can't say that. Flatties. No, I don't know if I like the sound of that. Why not? I mean, in light of TFE, people who don't even understand what that really means have started saying it. Yeah? But at the time I started saying it, I'm nearly done. At the time I started saying it, people were telling me I was wrong to be saying it. On my own side and on the opponent's side. Yeah? Now it's a statement of fact that you can get behind. He just may have not heard us state it in the way we state it. Now, while we're going through his performance here on Modern Day Debates, he'll hopefully get to hear that and hear, well, I didn't think that I could just say at the end of making a flat Earth elevation angle measurement that means Earth's flat. Well, it could only be flat, but he's engaging in debate with these facts rather than making them as statements of fact, which is all you need to do. Just state it as a fact and just sit back. Yeah, Earth's measured flat, your elevation angles. If you can do that, just so the guy knows, can you go on mute, whoever's bouncing off mute in Discord, please? Just go on mute, whoever you are. One of you's causing chaos. I'll have to close the line. Well, watch Toon scream my name into the snow and listen to what he actually heard on his stream. What you actually get to hear from my side of the conversation as he talks incessantly so he doesn't have to hear a word of it is 10K. That's the only thing you hear from me to Toon that got picked up by Dave McKeegan's phone as he filmed his little nervous breakdown that he had. 10K. Why am I talking about 10K? As that's the only bit the Toon's audience got to hear from my lips on his recording, as he claims I'm muting him. Do 7 offsuit, right, QE? Yeah, absolutely correct. They are absolutely terrified of me. Toon's 10K challenge measurements are flat. That's what I was telling him in Antarctica. And when I told him that, he went nuts and started screaming about how there aren't any guns down there. Not at me, he'd already hung up on me in fury and told his audience, quote, he tried to deflect with measurements, end quote, McToon. So know the power of what this that you already know, Alan, can do. It can send your opponent absolutely bonkers. That's what it can do. But you're not pulling the trigger. You're over-egging this pudding. You're overcooking these steaks. And you're never serving them.
That's kind of funny, because isn't that what he's doing when he's asking, how do these angles work? Isn't he deflecting measurements? Because how did you get those angles again? What? What do you mean? Angles? Elevation angles? Nah, it's flat. Don't deflect the measurement.
Hey, Nathan. Oh, sorry. Hey, Nathan, I wanted to bring this up. I wonder if, like, kind of like as an analogy along with your steaks, right? I wonder if his tactic is he makes the perfect steaks and he puts them on the table. And those who obviously get it, like us, like we can enjoy that perfect steak. Like we can enjoy, wow, he really like just slammed them right now. But I wonder if he doesn't like pull that trigger on that shotgun that you're talking about because he doesn't want them to push away the steak only because he said the earth is flat. And then they won't accept that steak because they're like, oh, wait, because it triggers them. When you argue with some of these knuckleheads.
Absolutely correct.
I wonder if that's his tactic.
No, you're right. He's scared that when he puts that steak that's perfectly cooked on the table and slaps it in front of them, that they'll say, I don't want to eat it and I'll spit it out. Yeah, they will. Let's just confirm that.
Yeah,
Just hold on.
There's no seasoning on those steaks.
Hold on. I urge you. Yeah. He's afraid that when he serves the perfect steak, that's by analogy, let's not mix them up with shotguns anymore, just stick to one analogy, right? When he serves the perfect steak, it'll be spat out, or worse, before even being tasted, it'll be spat on. That's his fear. Yeah, it will. Just to add to that fear. Absolutely, without question. They'll knock it out your hand, but you've still got to serve it to them. And then the people around you see that it's been knocked out of your hand before it's even been tasted. That's telling. You still got to serve it to them and know that they are going to spit it out if they even put it in their mouth because they can't bear it. Yeah? Now, you know it's juicy and delicious. Everyone watched you cook it perfectly. We watched the ingredients. They were of the highest quality. Your ingredients, please don't hate me, is actually of a slightly higher caliber than ours. As a chef, it's a hard pill to swallow to say that, but your ingredients seem exemplary. Slightly better than ours. In some instances, right? I've praised your ingredients, haven't I? You've got to serve the steaks. Yeah, they'll spit on them. Yeah, they'll knock the plate out your hand. But as I say, that's telling. Go ahead. One more clip and then we're done.
If you understand this, you can ask anybody. I'll ask me. I am the person you were just speaking of, more than you are, Dominic. So you say, oh, the geometry. You didn't provide the geometry. You didn't provide the analysis. You didn't name the person that you're talking about. That.
Yeah, he did. We watched him do it. I've just praised him for the ingredients. By metaphor, ingredients are all the stuff that he had up on screen. What are you babbling about? Handwave dismissal much.
I told you he's doing damage control now.
That they did.
One more time.
I said, I told you, now he's doing damage control because he just got wrecked. And now he's trying to say, you didn't do anything. And no, he did everything. But he's doing damage control for his listener.
He didn't hand him any steaks to spit out, though, did he? So Toon's hand wave isn't justified. But to the audience, it might seem justified. Got to make conclusions. You've got to actually make your point. We're measuring Earth flat. Here's the measurement. And it takes some confidence. It's clear. I thought the confidence was just required in the face of people that were apprehensive about something that's clear and obvious and simple. Earth's measured flat. It's not difficult to comprehend. And some people, it's so simple that they are fearful of it. Now, my thoughts were my confidence, personally, Nathan Oakley's confidence, was required to overcome the apprehensive. But in reality, it seems like from this example, people are just apprehensive to put the arguments on a plate and serve them. No, in that case, I can ascribe a need for confidence. Be confident. Make the steak. You've already got the ingredients. You're already making them. But serve them with a, that proves flat Earth. Can't get these angles from a curve. It's the end of this argument. That's a statement of fact that ends this discussion. If you can say words like that at the end of offering up every single flat Earth measurement that there is to create a globe with, not only is your opponent completely incapacitated when it comes to offering a rebuttal, because any rebuttal they offer you've already covered and associated with the flat Earth prerequisite that is needed to be measured to start any of those processes that you detailed so eloquently. They have no rebuttal in the face of what you did if you serve them the steak. That's it. Oh, this was really interesting. Who suggested we cover this video? Because this was extremely interesting.
I did.
Props. We'll just get to this last little clip. You that gave us the timestamps as well.
Yeah, for sure.
We've just got a couple more seconds left on what you suggested we watch.
Showing that diffraction wouldn't work on a highly polarized signal.
Well, did you listen, Alan?
Why should I believe your faith?
Did you listen right now, Alan? He told you everything and he showed you everything. We can show you again. It's okay. I think the people.
That's what I just said.
People are listening us. I think that people are listening us. It will be like nice for them to see it again.
Mod's ready to step in. Yeah, neutral platform time. He's just done what you just should have done. Your guest completely hand-waved all of the presentation that they gave. You didn't interrupt. He had to point it out to your guest. And now you seem to be hovering over that mute button that you're going to use on the flat earther. We'll see.
Again, because I think it's a great evidence. And like where you are acting, you are showing that you don't have any answer on this evidence.
Hold on 1 second. Just chill. You guys, gentlemen, I need you to first. When you guys are going to share your screen,
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it. So, any further comments?
Good response to McToon's ejaculations, like you like to say. I think that was a good response from that guy. Because tell him, like, yeah, we just showed you all of that, and we can show it to you again. Like, that's not a problem. And the way you're acting shows that we've destroyed you.
Yeah, they know that they've subtly destroyed them, but they also know that their numpty audience won't have picked up on that because there weren't enough conclusory statements made.
Yeah, and that's why that statement was brilliant, to say that the audience is listening and they can hear what's going on here. So I think that was pretty good.
Any other comments?
Yeah, that's the point though. There's a big audience watching, and not everybody in that audience is a vegan. Some people are going to eat that steak. I mean, don't be afraid to put it on the table and serve it to him. He is. It's odd because he's so eloquent and he's so articulate with it. Like,
you know, there's a transition.
Alan's weird.
No, he's scared. I can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
There's a transition period where flat earthers, I think, maybe not all of them, I don't want to stereotype, but you go from asking Globers where their curve is to telling them that it's flat. He might be in between those stages. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what
we used to have to go, where's the curve? Right? Now we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, he obviously didn't. We didn't reach him in 2024 when we were saying, look, flatties, you don't need to start telling people how it doesn't work on a curve anymore. Right? We know the Earth's not a globe. Right? We've done that. Now just start telling him it's flat. And if they start telling you how Earth's a curved surface, point out how Earth was measured flat to get to their assertion that it's got a curved surface. That's what you do now. We haven't reached him, right? Because presumably he's being led by Ethereum leaders that tell him I'm a scammer and there's no way he's going to come across our path. So even though he's got the same information, if not higher quality in terms of his representation of it, his diagrams, you know, they're all equivalent to what I'm putting up on screen now, right? But that's what I've managed to come up with for the same diagram that I've stolen from him, most definitely will be using with his protractor over half a globe. Yeah? So he and I are of like mind. It's just he's not slamming them over the head with it and saying, well, that means Earth can only be measured flat for this to take place in the first instance. Distance, you say. Miles, you say. Kilometers, you say. Meters, you say. Yeah, those are linear. You're going to need a flat Earth for those. Heights, you say. We're going to need a flat Earth for that. Height above sea level. Angle, you say. We're going to need a flat Earth for that. Flat baseline that forms that angle. All of these prerequisites he's already detailed, hasn't he? He knows all of this. He's just got to start winning with it. Leading with it, more importantly. Making it the first thing you talk about. Leaving the globe for them to discuss and prove. And then you take all your knowledge of that globe and how the flat Earth was used in the first instance to create it. Go ahead, whoever that was. Chocolate.
So I should ask next time he asks how those intervals work. Me too. Did you just deflect the measurements?
Try to deflect with measurements.
How did you get those?
Yeah, like 10K.
One of my most favorite parts, though, in that whole entire 4 hours was he even quotes McToon's website. And like he's like, if you want to learn about it, go here. And like he's literally telling them like McToon's providing the flat Earth stuff on his website.
Yeah, but did he say it that way?
No, he missed it.
Right, exactly. So it's another steak that's been prepared and left to frizzle out on the grill.
And that was a juicy one too, man. That was a real good
yeah, you say as a chef, you're saying, oh, that was a really juicy steak that got slapped back on the grill instead of on someone's plate. Hey, QE, did you have something to add? Because if not, I'm going to be asking people to stay tuned if they're watching on an after show. With that, I'll say if you are watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Fortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you liked, commented, shared, subscribed. Let Modern Day Debates know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hit me up on PayPal and super chatted and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.